Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. We're the movie podcast that makes every Monday a fun day because we get together and we talk movies, but not for no reason. No, we here at the United States of Movie have a purpose because we want to define each state in these United States by just one movie. Now, we've already completed one road trip around the states. We're currently at the beginning of our second one, and today we're stopping in at the state of Nevada. But before we get to the movies we'll be talking about, let's also bring back my amazing co-host, as always, Ryan Sandler. Buddy, welcome back to the show.
It is so great to be here, and I can't wait to talk about these movies. I'm so excited, I don't even need the ice cubes.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of episode. Just you wait, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, sitting in the middle of his video store in the middle of Los Angeles, California, Will Hirsch. Buddy, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be here. And if I don't want to make anybody too jealous, but if you notice the little pink eye action I got going on, I got that at Versace.
Ooh.
You know? It's the fancy kind of pink eye.
You could have picked the name of the strip club that you worked at, but you went with that one. All right.
Great. So anyone that knows anything about movies has probably already figured out, but one of the movies that we have brought to the table to dethrone our champion, which is the Martin Scorsese classic Casino, is the Paul Verhoeven classic Showgirls.
Yeah. That's one way to put it. Yep.
Listen, I looked up beforehand to see, like, because I assumed that every movie podcast or show on the face of the earth has talked about Showgirls. No. We're the only ones. Like, Blank Check did one a million years ago. Nobody remembers it because who listens to them? Come on. But like, no one else is brave enough to go for this movie and talk about it. So I honestly, we're your only source for Showgirls.
When you picked it, I had this. I bemoaned having to watch it because I probably haven't seen it since I was 10 years old or 13 years old.
10?
All right.
Wow.
I was going to say 10 years ago, but I cannot stress how much of a fun watch this one was.
Oh man. This is a movie and a half, let me tell you.
Defined so bad it's good.
Yes.
It's you're hitting the nail on the head. It's definitely one I wish I had a group of people to watch.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it was interesting going, and I'm like, all right, I haven't seen it for, again, a long time like you guys. I know that it's sort of ironically now becomes sort of a cult classic. I know they did a showing in Los Angeles in the park, and Elizabeth Berkley even showed up to this, you know what I mean? It's its own thing.
Conversely, when I watched this in my living room, I had to draw my blinds because I had people walking back and forth. And I had this cloud of shame walk over. I'm like, I can't let them see me watching Tremors.
What will the neighbors say?
Which is the other movie that we brought to the table, the 1990 movie Tremors, directed by Ron Underwood, who also directed one of the greatest. Was it our champion?
Yeah,
the champion.
Yeah. There's a real chance that Ron Underwood might go 2 for 2, because this Tremors is awesome. So
I remember Tremors being good, and honestly, rewatching it is. We were kind of talking about it on our text thread with Adam, who was on the show with our Arizona as well. And I think everybody at some point, because he did it, I think Ryan did it.
I did, yeah, too. That was my first thought. Yeah.
Everybody refers to it as underground Jaws or Jaws in the dirt.
Land Jaws.
And the thing is, it really is. Yeah. It's doing Jaws with the Jaws sort of style, but in a sort of B-movie, 1950s sort of monster movie vibe. And it still just fucking crushes.
We bring this up all the time, how especially now with all the AI slop and stuff you see, but the fact of the matter, this was all practical effects, makes this so much more enjoyable and so much more timeless.
Yeah. And also just really, really quality usage of the POV, the Jaws cam.
Yeah.
And
the Sam Raimi, the tracking shot, right?
And it just gets you, you start getting all excited about it. And thing is, and it's silly, it's fun, it's a giggle. And And you know what? Let's just talk Tremors. Okay, so yeah, Tremors came out 1990, like we said, directed by Ron Underwood. Stars Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Michael Gross, who I think is in every single one of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even the
Reba
one that took place
McEntire.
in the past is like an old world Western one. He's in there too. Okay.
Yeah.
Or does he play his own grandfather or something? Okay, I had no idea. And then we've also got Finn Carter, or Elizabeth Fern Finn Carter, who plays it's the classic 90s cute ugly girl because she's a nerd and wears glasses.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, like this movie, as it sort of started, I'm like, I was watching going, okay, have I misremembered it? You know, I remember watching it as a kid and enjoying it. 1990, so I was probably 10, around the same age you were when you watched Showgirls.
That's right.
But like, yeah, I think I saw this as many people did. I came out on VHS. It was one of those things you're like, we know Kevin Bacon's name. You see the cover of the VHS. You're like, let's give that a go. And it crushed. So
Kevin
like,
Bacon from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? Okay.
yes, it will, like, because you are our resident sort of more millennial.
Yeah.
You know, what do you remember? When do you remember seeing Tremors?
I think I must have seen this on the Sci-Fi Channel first as a kid, because this was on like all the time,
constantly,
like back in the day. So I'm positive that's where I saw it first, and then because at the time I knew like, okay, for TV it's edited. So I think I then pretty much went to go to the video store to rent like the actual movie, and I loved it pretty much right away. To this day, I have not seen any of the sequels. I have not seen the TV show.
Yeah,
I have no intention of watching it.
Definitely seen the second one because that still had Fred Ward in it, but didn't have Kevin Bacon. But I don't remember any of it. Like,
I've never heard anyone talk about it. It doesn't show up.
There's a throwaway line in this one when Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward are getting ready to go out and find the graboid. And they're like, what are you going to tell me now that they can fly? Which they end up doing in one of the later ones. There's like smaller graboids, but they can fly. I'm like, how did they have the foresight to know to do that?
They fly now?
But you know, there was a second series of the TV show made in 2018 that shot a pilot with Kevin Bacon reprising his role.
I do remember that.
I remember the short for it, yeah. It was like 7 years ago. It's crazy.
Oh my God, is that long? Oh my goodness. Time goes
All
too
the
far.
like schlock they make, like you get this like Cobra Kai stuff. Like, what? That would be so easy to do. It's money in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm going to finish it because I know the second part of season 6 has dropped with Cobra Kai, but at the same time, like, I went back and I watched like the first episode of season 1 of Cobra Kai, and it's like it was such a great.
Yeah,
it captures it very well. I know it's just gone so far and become this ridiculous.
Did you have to reactivate your
soap
YouTube
opera.
TV account to watch it? Because that's weird. Yeah, but you're right.
I remember.
That
But like
that
it
hit
had big buzz.
all the nostalgia tinglies.
Yeah, but I was getting those just watching this. You know,
Yes.
like Mrs. came to watch this one as well. She would just like, you know, no, let's watch it. This will be a good one. And it's like, so if you haven't seen the movie, this is one of those ones where I'm judging you. Like, you really should.
Yeah.
It tells a story about two handymen, the worst handymen, honestly, ever.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Watching like Kevin Bacon like trying to like hammer that like staple into it, like
I'm now watching
it every time. It's like 30 hits.
That's actually that's a funny
like,
bit of trivia.
my
Like, he
God.
actually did that and kept missing 8 times, and they left it in. And Fred Ward's reaction is very real in that.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. 8 times.
Yeah, that was the missus laughed very, very loud at that point. So yeah, they play Val McKee, which is Kevin Bacon, and then Earl Bassett. They live in the teeny tiny town of Perfection, Nevada, which has a population of like 14 people.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much handiwork do you need in a town of 14 people? And it's like,
I mean, have you
what
seen
are-
those septic tanks?
Yes, okay, the septic tank, yes, but my question is kind of like, what the hell is anyone doing living there? Because like at one point later in the movie, which we'll get to, but there's like a roadside miniature farm that has a bunch of sheep in
And a shack.
dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just dust. Okay, so what are they eating? Question 1. And then 2, he's like in his grounds, he's like a dust farmer. It's like, what are we going to go to Toshi Station and get some power converters? It's
the
like,
guy is
fucking
like,
Tatooine.
I mean, the guy is fucking all of those sheep. Let's be honest.
There's no other explanation.
That was my first thought. I was like, oh, he's fucking those sheep for sure.
Yeah.
That explains his level of concern.
I mean, they even canonically say the next town over is something like 30 miles, like 32 miles away.
Yeah.
So
Bixby.
there is nothing else. So that those sheep, somebody needs to.
Right.
If this guy wasn't eaten by a giant worm, someone would need to look into it.
But they've got their one-stop convenience store run by Senor Chang, apparently. Fun fact, I think they wanted Pat Morita to play that role, but he wanted too much money, so they're like, let's just get the guy from Three Ninjas.
Yeah. Let's save the money. Let's get a fourth giant worm. And
yeah, I thought it was odd there were 4 worms, but I think they wanted 6, but the studio's like, no, just 4.
Well, I will say, okay, like because when you think of this movie, because it's like this movie is a B movie done well, but the thing is that as I'm looking, well, not looking for, but you're expecting, oh, that's a bit convenient, or that's a bit of a, is that they're very, very good at like very first shot establish the cliff. You know, within the first few minutes we've established the pogo stick. You know, and then we get into, like you said, Will, like the, you know, okay, Bixby's 30 miles away, but then they sort of show us the map of this imaginary area. So they're kind of like blocked into this valley. There's only one road. And I'm like, but then there's plausible explanations for the phone going out, the road getting blocked, everything. Then I'm like, no, man, this is a
very well crafted film for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get that in a modernish B movie. And I was watching this through a modern 2024 lens where I'm like, oh, they're definitely a gay couple in this movie. like it's,
again, like, the nearest town is 32 miles away.
Yeah, for sure.
They live together. 14 people in this town.
I think for me, the one sort of like plot device that I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense is, you know, like I said, it's a population of 14 people, probably in an area that the valley was probably caused by atomic testing, you know, like to just explain why it's that way. But it's the fact that there is road work happening on the most random place of the road for a place where 14 people live. No local government is going to do any road work on any road. And the fact that they choose that bottleneck as well, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But then again, this is a movie about graboids underneath the, you know, the ground. Yeah. So shut the fuck up, Ollie.
does the word graboid, that doesn't even come up?
It does. Yeah. They come up with the name of it. Yeah.
They say it in the movie. Wasn't that originally supposed to be the title? I remember hearing that years ago, that it was like originally they were going to call it graboids.
They landed on the title Tremors like at the very last minute, like the day before or something, really right at the wire.
Which is a good name.
It's great. Yeah.
It's definitely the premise of the movie. You know, like
it's the name of the movie and it's what happens when I quit drinking alcohol.
That's what they were thinking at the time.
You almost made me spit out my wine, which is very, very appropriate. But yeah, so this movie, it starts right off, and it's going. Like, so essentially it's like the sort of the B plot of the movie is Val and Earl have said, oh, this is it, this is enough, this is ridiculous, what are we doing? Let's get out of here. So they load everything in their pickup truck, and as they try and leave, they are distracted. They're on the road, they're on the highway, and they see this guy up in one of those sort of like power towers, you know, those. And it's like a guy it's the older guy that
it's
was
like the town drunk, right? Like
the original intro for the movie, right? Which Will randomly got recommended on TikTok
today,
30 minutes ago.
Yeah, literally, it just showed up on my For You page, and I'm like, what are the odds of this? But I understand why the scene was cut. Like it's a little bit of setup so we could see the old guy, which is kind of nice. But honestly, it kind of hurts the movie because later on, the graboids start to like shake all the foundations of the buildings. And that happens right at the beginning in the cut opening. And I'm like, because
they learned that. Yeah.
That gives it away a little too fast. So I understand why it was cut.
And it's interesting you say that. And I completely agree with you. But when it came to the studio sort of like suggestions and notes and stuff, is that they made them for the first few kills, like the bit where our geologist, the not ugly, good, you know, the ugly pretty woman,
the girl next
at the
to
beginning, she gets that sort of POV of the thing getting closer and closer, and it sort of gives us some tension.
Right.
Is that initially the plan was to make the audience think that there might be a serial killer. And it was only sort of about a third of the way of the movie in that they'd reveal, oh, wait, it's a graboid. And they were like, no. This is a monster movie. Just go straight for the monster. Just let people know there's a monster out there.
But it's called Tremors. I mean, how does
that...
it may have not been called Tremors when they were making it, you know.
Perhaps. Look at this guy.
Yeah, but even Graboid, like I understand, but that's like a trick that like that doesn't work past like opening day. Like, and then you've kind of like you've lost that for the movie. So I understand.
Everyone had Twitter in 1994 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 90.
Yeah, that was back in the days of like, you know, that rumor that would cross from high school to high school, like Prince removing a rib, or did you ever hear it was like there was a rumor that ran around every school in England that Lauryn Hill had killed herself, the chick from the Fugees.
Singer?
For a while, we're like, oh my god,
I haven't heard that one.
We just wanted you to think that.
But we find out that old guy he's died of dehydration. And so they're like, well, why did a guy stay up in a tower with a rifle for 3 days and die of thirst? That's not a great way to go. Then we turn up at the sheep fucking farm, where there's been, you know, that's a pretty great reveal, actually. So we see the guy, you know, his sheep are getting eaten. We see him getting attacked and we cut away. And we come back and suddenly there's just blood and guts everywhere. And they see a hat on the floor. And that bit where they lift the hat up and the guy's face is there. I'm like, I like that.
But again, like, wouldn't they have just dragged him under completely and eaten him? But I mean, again, I love the physical.
They bit him off at the neck. All right, that's it. The graboids, they bit him off at the neck. It makes perfect sense, man. What are you talking about?
Okay.
And I also like that sort of right around then, because like it's when they find the roads blocked or whatever, that they get the truck stuck, and it's you know, we don't know why. It's only when they get back to the sort of the shop, which is also the bar / restaurant / social club of this 14 people that live here.
/ only phone in town.
Yes.
Right.
That we see what we think is a graboid, which is like, you know, which as we find out later is kind of like more like one of the, it's almost like an alien. It's got the little alien inside its mouth. But it was like...
little sock puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
it establishes Stumpy, you know, so we then get this one graboid that's constantly bothering them, and I'm like, okay, we've given ourselves like an...
I kind of wish they all had like unique personalities, like
like
some
like gremlins.
Yeah, one's got lipstick on, you know.
Give me a hot graboid.
Yeah, one can talk.
I mean, these things are just giant fleshlights, right?
A graboid with massive tits for no reason. You know what I mean? It's like, man, we should really hit up do Gremlins.
Someone's been reading my diary. Yeah,
a vegetable graboid. Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Though I did one thing that really surprised me, because I was looking at one of the cast members, the young girl on the pogo stick, and I'm looking like, and Zen, my missus, is like, that's the chick from Jurassic Park, and I'm like,
oh no shit,
no, it isn't. And then 2 seconds of googling later, yes, it is. It's the young girl from Jurassic Park.
The only other movie she's been in, apparently.
I think so, right? It's
she must have been in one of the terrible Jurassic.
They'll bring her back for Dominion for the Revenge of the Fallen.
What is her name?
Jurassic Universe.
I'm forgetting her name.
Pogo.
You know, and I'm gonna. I typed in "girl from Jurassic Park" and it's like Laura Dern. I'm like, no, it's Ariana Richards.
Okay.
Ariana Richards,
friend of the podcast.
So young.
That's funny. I mean, that's funny you recognize her in that.
One thing
Jurassic Park was 2 years later, right? 2-3 years.
Jurassic Park was this is 1990. Jurassic Park's more like 94, 5, 6.
I think it's 93.
You're right, actually, because I was like 13 when I saw it. Yeah, so it's only a couple years later. But I mean, like, so
basically the same movie.
Well, this movie is basically Dune, just in Nevada.
Yes, like I said, I forgot what episode it was. It's one of my top 3 Sandworm movies, between Dune Part 2 and Beetlejuice.
Oh yes, of course, Beetlejuice. Quick aside, who has seen Beetlejuice? Nobody?
Oh.
No, I haven't either. It's about to land on Max, I think, any day, which I'm going to watch. But they say that this is like Burton's most profitable movie or something like that. Or...
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But didn't Alice in Wonderland, that piece of crap, make $1 billion?
I don't know.
You know, I'm going to have to investigate. But, you know, I've heard not bad things about Beetlejuice. I'm like going to hold my judgment. Did we not do Beetlejuice on the podcast?
We did Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And so for those counting at home, we've now said Beetlejuice 48 times.
I've had to keep pushing him back because he keeps coming back.
The juice is loose.
But there were so this isn't exactly like a high budget movie. $6 to $10 million. But there were some things that I found quite impressive. I mean, the graboids are pretty good, but there was one moment that I was like, whoa, which is the bit where the horse is lying down and is wrapped up in the sort of the graboid stuff. And I was like,
they killed 7 horses for that shot.
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
Will is famously anti-horse.
Everyone knows this about me.
Considering City Slickers is your favorite movie,
I can't stand horses.
But actually, I had a concern about it. I'm like, oh my goodness,
it looks like
it's very well done. Yeah. And fortunately, there's a little bit of info about it. So it says they had the fake tentacles wrapped around the horse. The movement of the tentacles achieved by an inner mechanism that operated manually. The horse was no probs. Yeah. The horse was super chill, laid down, which he was trained to do. They had collapsible stirrups in the event that it had to get up. But they said that a veterinarian sedated the horse briefly. So I guess it was stoned. But American Humane Associate representatives were there. And for the shocking bit, it was a fake horse flank was used for the bite. But that was that moment. Like I said, and it's kind of like what you said, Ryan, right at the beginning, is that this movie is another one of those movies, the example of when you do things for real, when you don't go schlocky CGI or you don't go crappy special effects, and you just go, no, let's use puppets, let's use animatronics. It looks good.
Like you look at the jump from 1990 to Jurassic Park, like we just mentioned, the technology was exponential. Whereas this, it looks so cheesy, but it works so well in the best way. I love it.
It helps that it's tangible. It helps that it's actually there and things are being interacted with. It just, I remember hearing George Lucas a long time ago talk about how he does not see a difference between physical, practical effects and CGI effects. Because he's like, both are phony, both are fake. So what does it matter?
Because you're just counting $100 bills.
He said this on a throne of money. But
I'm busy.
But I always feel no, there is a difference because we can tell as an audience when something is interacting with something else.
For sure. It's the weight.
And even if it's cheesy, it just helps our brain accept it that much more.
Yeah, he's so wrong. He's so wrong. Because it's it just fundamentally, a CGI explosion can look cool, but then when we're in the 80s and 90s, they blow shit up. And you'd see people's hair, go, and you'd see you go, is that stuntman okay?
No.
He died.
Yeah.
So, and this is also one of those, every trick in the book kind of movies. I think they use everything except stop motion animation.
Oh, yeah.
And it just looks phenomenal. So many miniatures in this, and the miniatures look amazing.
That bit where they kill the first graboid and they immediately dig the whole thing out, which would have taken a day. It's pretty funny. But having that giant Sarlacc just sitting there is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Sarlacc.
Yeah. So much so I remember I remember bits and pieces of Tremors 2 because the plot is Kevin Bacon goes off, but Fred Ward's character is the hometown hero, but his celebrity status is kind of wearing out as he's the graboid hunter. But is his name Earl, the guy with all the guns?
Michael Gross's character?
He is Bert.
Bert, excuse me. In his trophy room, he's got the graboid mount. I thought it was cool.
That's awesome. Do they explain what?
Right next to his Demolition Man Ice Cube coffee table.
Hell yeah. Do they explain in the second one why Reba left or why
there's a throwaway line, but it's really
she became a country music star?
Pretty much, yeah.
They are great though. Bert and Heather. So
great,
Michael Gross and Reba McEntire as the sort of conspiracy theorist preppers are great. They are great fun. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing that they don't really explain and they're always talking about and they're always reacting to it is the smell. It's just in the movie, there's no real explanation for why, but anytime they turn up, you've got people going, oh my God, and Kevin Bacon, oh man, the smell. It's I was always wondering if there was something else that was supposed to be there about it, but it's it's one of those things that because you can't smell a movie that they always remind you, these things reek.
Are you listening, Tremors 4DX?
Make the next Tremors
Yeah,
smell.
I was thinking too, watching this, I was like, they used so much fucking corn syrup in this. Like, when they kill that one, it's just the goo coming out. It's so gross.
So much goop. Like
Yeah.
you said, like the budget between 6 and 10 million, like 5 million of that went to goop. Like,
I think the only movie that had more goo in it was Showgirls. We'll get to that.
yeah.
But I was like, this, like I said, I was like, in my notes, I'm like, such a simple premise, but I'm on board. Like, it's such a solid, simple premise, being well done. Another thing that I was like, it's one of the only movies I've ever seen that, like, okay, they were stranded on a rock, and they address the fact that they need to pee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never see movies where they go, like, I need to pee, or they're just trapped.
All three of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, and then, like I said, every time you think of something, why can't they call somebody? All right, the phone's out of order. Why can't we use the radio? It's not working because we don't have the elevation, because of the mountains. I'm like, and then someone at some point goes, look, I'm sure someone's going to come looking for us. Cut to the people that have come looking for them dead. They've been attacked. That's what I mean. Is like, it's not that hard. And the thing is, we've seen so many movies that can't do it. And this one is just doing it.
It's crazy to me on this, especially on this rewatch, because we did Jaws for the podcast. How adjacent it is to Jaws. Like, the tension they build up, like, because you don't see the monsters for the first 45 minutes of it, right? Something like that. At least
really long time.
But they're like drip feeding all of these deaths and all of the rules and the lore. And actually, there's no lore. Like, you don't learn anything about these fucking creatures.
Right.
Like, but the pace of this movie it goes at a clip. It's fantastic.
Well, you're so right. And that actually gets me to sort of the bit that I think where it's all come together perfectly. That, okay, we've now figured out that, because we've got a seismologist from the university, so we're understanding that they seem to be attracted to sound. We understand that you can, stand on the rocks and kind of get away with it. We've established all these rules. We've even established ways you can get away from them, like using the pogo, not the pogo stick, the long sticks, right? So we've now got everybody in the town. We've established all the rules, and then we've got one kid go out with the basketball.
The worst kid.
And then
Melvin.
Yeah,
Melvin.
fucking Melvin. But then, like, just as we're like, oh, where's the girl? The girl that we've seen all movie bouncing on a pogo stick, and that's
who is working on a Guinness World Record for jumping on pogo stick.
Dude, she lives in the middle of Nevada.
Right. But I'm saying that's like, it's established, like, this girl fucking loves the pogo stick. So, of course, it's going to be her undoing.
It was a brilliant, but for me, it's just a brilliant bit of, like, well-established, well-timed, character makes sense. Where's the little girl? Of course she's doing this. And earlier in the movie, we see she's got headphones on. Right. You know what I mean? I'm like, they've got the whole cause and effect thing just brilliantly done. I honestly think they should just make, like, students go, look, watch this movie. This is how you, like, just write a script, a simple script, but watch it. It makes sense, even though it's about stupid fucking underground, worms.
Yeah, it's Brokeback Mountain with sandworms. How hard is that, dog? For all of the holes that are scattered throughout this movie, none of them are in the plot. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. But, like, you were talking about the effects, and the combination of effects and the combination of, like, camera moves, because, like, there's a couple of camera moves that I really liked where we did POV, but it dived into the ground.
That's so cool.
And you're seeing it go by. And another one is like a shot of the worm going
through
past underground. And it's like, it's just, that's why the tension's there. The scariness of the monsters there, but the fun all the way through it is kind of the fun. I think one of the best bits that I liked as well was where we end up with everybody in town on the roof.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, all right, okay, they figured it out. They're on the roofs. Everyone understands we're safe. And then they start messing with the buildings.
They get smart somehow. It's like,
yeah.
Man, it's so funny because it works here, but when you see something like Deep Blue Sea where they're genetically modifying sharks to be smart, and that's somehow dumber than this. Like,
it's a fine line, but, like, they walk it perfectly because this movie knows exactly what it is, that it's a fun B movie. It's just perfect in, like, its construction.
In, like, a different universe or in a different time, you would have gotten 6 of these movies that were, like, progressively better, like, Fast and Furious style like where they start riding the worms and erasing them.
Right,
Obviously,
they pilot a worm into space. I know what you mean. Yeah.
one of them they
Then
shrink a
Diesel's a
worm
worm.
down. It goes into your brain and controls you.
Ooh,
These are all-
there we go.
These are just Rick and Morty episodes, basically.
But like, even as much as like, like you're saying, Will, because the thing that causes the worms to start attacking the buildings is that fridge that makes a bunch of noise, which again was established in the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, and I forgot about the fridge. So when it happens, you're just like, because any other shit B movie stuff just happens. They write the script and they go, all right, what should happen next? All right, maybe, you know what I said it reminded me of? I think we did it for Florida, that movie that was shot in Serbia, but was about
Crawl.
Crawl is another one of those movies that we said the same thing about. We say it's a B movie where they're doing it right, they're building the tension, and it's like Jaws, Tremors, and Crawl are kind of like distant cousins.
That's great, yeah. And you think too, with that was completely CGI, but somehow felt grounded and tangible, which I can't even wrap my brain around.
Oh man, I was just when I made that connection, all I thought was, man, I want to watch Crawl again.
Yeah.
That was a surprisingly good
and you
movie.
mean Crawl from Son-in-Law, played by Pauly Shore.
Yes, of course. Which you have been trying to get everyone to watch because it was Thanksgiving. No. But I was actually surprised, considering it's a movie I've never really heard of, how many people on movie Reddit, movie Twitter, and everywhere else were talking about fucking Son-in-Law. Everyone's like, hey, guys, it's Thanksgiving. It's time to watch Son-in-Law. And I'm like, can we produce right now?
It's funny, I never even considered it a Thanksgiving movie for that episode. I picked it for whatever weird state that was. I don't remember.
Well, and it has been the weird coincidence that every time we talk about a movie on this podcast,
Someone
suddenly
dies.
it's on a streamer, suddenly it's like everyone's talking about it. I'm like, I don't know, like clearly the 11 people that listen to this podcast are very influential when it comes to programming and apparently TikTok for Will.
Yeah, it's all billionaires. That's the only people who listen to our podcast. So
Yeah.
thank you, billionaires.
I like I think one of my favorite sort of gags in the movie though is so like we've established that you've got Reba McEntire, Michael Gross, Burt and Heather are these like preppers, right? And they're the ones who sort of live up in a compound. They've built themselves a sort of a basement, right? But
bunker,
we see that while everyone else is trapped, Dawn of the Dead style, they're trapped on the roof. And suddenly they start going for the other guys because Reba McEntire has turned on one of those sort of spinner things that, it helps basically evenly distribute the powder.
Yeah, she's making rounds.
She's making homemade
basically.
bullets.
Yeah.
And it bursts through the wall, and these guys start opening fire with their guns. And there's exactly right. The camera just pans over and reveals this wall of fucking weapons.
It's alluded to like because they're hunters. Like they were out. Like when you first meet them, they're coming back from like shooting coyotes or something like that. Like maintaining the land, so to speak. But yeah, I think it's underplayed just how like armed to the fucking teeth they are.
Yeah.
And that pan back to this like 15 by 10 foot wall of weaponry is fucking awesome.
And they just start unloading on this thing.
All the guns already loaded.
And it's like, well,
Naturally, yeah.
they're preppers, man. Right. You got to be prepared. Yeah. But then what does it do again? Then the camera pans just a little bit more and it reveals the emergency break glass elephant gun.
Which was a real gun that they borrowed to use in this movie that was fixed to fire blank rounds.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a bit too where it cuts to Reba McEntire and she's just firing to you. Which is like the one thing they never do in any movie, seldom ever, is if you've ever fired like an actual gun at a range, it's the loudest fucking shit you've ever heard.
Yeah,
so the idea of them firing all of these weapons in this this concrete cube is crazy to me.
Yeah, they should have every now and again sort of cut to like in the conversation, cut to Reba McEntire and him listening to everyone talk, and you just hear
what? Yeah. And then, I'm out. What?
Yeah.
What do they do?
They just read lips.
They go up to the roof and make their own fucking dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I like that because they for a moment you're convinced they're gonna die. Because they do a pretty cool bit where they cut back to the town and you're just hearing distant gunfire.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they come over the radio. Like I said, it's like, I honestly, this movie deserves a lot more credit, especially when you consider that Kevin Bacon was convinced it was going to kill his career.
Yeah.
It
That's a hilarious interview to find, like of that Actors Roundtable, where he's talking about how he's like he had just had a kid and he was out of work for like a year before this, and he was like, you know what I would do? I sign onto a movie where I'm like going up against worms, like what is? And it ended up turning around his entire career.
Well, that's the thing is he admits it. He's like he says that when he was making Tremors, he was definitely in a state of depression, and he attributed a lot of the bad memories from that to the movie. And he's like, and he goes, I've only watched maybe most of the movies I've made once, or if not at all. But he goes, over the years, his love for it has grown. He's watched it dozens of times. And he says whenever he goes on a movie, he tries to establish the kind of fun and rapport that they had during Tremors on any set that he's working on, which makes me very happy. You know, that like the sunshine came into Kevin Bacon's life, and part of it was graboids.
He is arguably the best part of A24's Maxine, if you get to see that. Where he plays a private slimeball private detective, and it is great.
But
I do want to see it for that reason.
Best line of the movie is from Michael Gross, where after they've killed the graboid with every single bullet they've got in that place, and he says, "Broke into the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you?" I'm like, I burst out laughing.
And then you get arguably the best "fuck you" in any movie. Kevin Bacon, "fuck you."
So that's the thing. So there's a couple of very famous, like when they comes over the CB and he's like, "We killed that mother humper," and it's like,
I noticed that
three more mother humpers. Yeah. So apparently it was originally sort of like much more R-rated. They had they cut something like 20 fucks from the movie. So they kept 2, like you said. It's got the very good Kevin Bacon one, but then they kind of had fun with the other ones, like Mother Humper and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
I noticed that this time around. I was like, that's an odd phrase to use given the circumstances.
Yeah, especially when they're blowing up monsters and people are getting eaten. Like when people are cursing, not cursing, it sticks out kind of odd.
Yeah. MPAA.
Was this was PG-13 or no?
Yeah, I think so. Whoa. Well, 1990. Yeah, PG-13 existed. Let me see.
Because I'm thinking like the violence, like the gore, and like there's really not like a ton.
I was surprised by that this time around. Like rewatching it, I was like, oh yeah, there's the body count is not super high considering like how much of the main cast survives, and
it's
I was
like 12. But I mean, but consider the population of this town is 14, so.
Right. Yeah, so they did lose over half their population.
But it's kind of like Ryan was saying, is like it's not so much sort of like blood and guts, it's more just goo. You know, it's like orange goo and weird goo.
Slimy,
Yeah.
Even like the kills you do get, it's just like pretty off-camera stuff. It's the guy getting sucked through the tire. Normally you would see a fucking fountain of like viscera shooting out of it, but you really don't.
Yeah. I forgot about the tire. I remember watching that the first time. I'm like, dude, what?
They're all yelling, "You gotta get high!" Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. It's like he's tubing down a river, and he's like, "This'll do." Fucking great. I will say, like after they ate, I feel like this is such a joke my dad told me watching this film that I didn't get when I was a kid. But after they eat Chang on the roof of the like the convenience store, I like my dad nudging me on the shoulders like, "Oh, they're just gonna be hungry in a half hour anyway."
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
I swear I thought that was gonna be a line in this movie, but
if it was a Michael Bay movie, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just true. Ooh, he should do the remake.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I'd watch it, but there'd be like 10,000 graboids. It'd be a 2-hour, 45-minute long movie.
They have to go into the earth to get close to the graboids.
No, that's the core. The only way out is in.
The graboids would have an amazing rack, like each of them.
Yeah, exactly. See, and now we're back to the Gremlins 2 of it all. Joe Dante and Michael Bay should co-direct it, is what they should do.
Oh my god! Well, can a movie be too good? Like,
but you joke, but it's a shame that they like tried to course correct towards the end, and we got that like I think maybe it was a Comic-Con teaser for Kevin Bacon in like this remake, and to have him actually on board to do it, like that would have been great, and it sucks we were kind of robbed of that, and we're still getting like direct to Walmart.
I would have taken it. Come on, it's the kind of thing. We got the bloody Snyder cut during the pandemic. We should have got Tremors. Come on, just
give me the NC-17 Tremors cut.
It's what we need as a country right now.
So this is interesting, is that they were saying that, I didn't know this, all of the actors were cast through open auditions, which is a rare practice for a studio film. So Val...
So we could have been in this movie.
We could have.
Damn it.
We were a bit young. But Val, so Kevin Bacon's character was auditioned. It was Bill Paxton, Matthew Modine, Bruce Campbell. And then, no surprise considering Ron Underwood, but Jack Palance was considered for the role of Earl. Can you imagine having...
Again, he's like, I'll save you for City Slickers.
Probably best, like, that's the way it went down.
Yeah, can you picture him fucking pole vaulting across rocks? No.
Yeah, not really.
And it's like, and then, oh my God, what's his name? The other guy, Fred Ward. Like, I remember watching the movie and like him being that sort of like this older guy in the movie, and it comes on now, and the guy's probably my age.
He's like, definitely like, I'm like, this dude's 38 years old. Like,
the first thing it said, she's like, wow, he's so young. And I'm like, wow, he is. Like, he looks great.
How old is Kevin Bacon supposed to be in this movie? Like 12?
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be like a baby. He does have that sort of like, that early 20s, 80s/90s, not mullet.
Yeah.
That seemed to be
grunge hair.
Yeah, the Mel Gibson of it all.
It works.
Mm-hmm. Well, as does the last sort of act of the movie, where again, people kind of like, they're smart about it. They make good decisions. They realize, okay, we've got a caterpillar that weighs 40 tons. We've got this old thing. Let's load everybody up. Let's make our way to the mountains. Movie's going to be over. That great bit where like they lay a trap. Good for them. Like, so the graboids lay the trap. Everybody ends up on that rock again. But like you said, they've made their own homemade dynamite. They go fishing, take one out. But then we get that sort of like, because the whole thing about the movie is kind of like that, like Kevin Bacon never sort of thinks ahead. You know what I mean? He's never good at making a plan. Again,
established at the very beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Right.
And it goes all the way to the very, very end, where it's a smart plan. Because, I remember watching the first movie, like, what's he doing? What's he doing? Like, he's gonna die. Chucks the dynamite behind him. Even you as a moviegoer are like, like, you slap your forehead, but then, bursts out the thing, goes down, heroic ending, bish bash bosh, kiss the girl.
The most goo.
yeah. It's...
the thing's just like a fucking, like a watermelon. It's just...
Yeah. Apparently...
So satisfying, too.
Before they came up with the ideas of like the graboids coming out of the mouth, apparently it was going to kind of split open and there'd be another worm inside. But too much of the crew were laughing about the fact that it just looked like a foreskin revealing a penis.
Different movie, NC-17 cut. Let's go.
Exactly.
I know which movie you want to talk
Paul
about.
Verhoeven's Tremors.
I mean, this movie...
That's just Starship Troopers.
Yeah, this movie, like, again, it kind of holds to that Roger Corman school of filmmaking, which, it's super low budget. It's super efficient on it does not waste a moment. When the monsters are dead, the movie is over.
Yeah.
Yep.
We are not wasting any more time. We know why you came. Kiss the girl. Okay, credits. Reba, sing us out,
Did I read like they did a test where they didn't kiss at the end?
That's right.
People were screaming like kiss, 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 kiss.
Yeah, so it tested really well. Everyone really liked it, but at the end of the movie, everyone's like, kiss the girl. And so they quickly just did a quick reshoot where let's kiss the girl. And it's fine, works for me, Though I thought she had more chemistry with Fred Ward. I'm going to say that. But yeah, the movie didn't do great. It was a $10 million movie, made $16 million, but once it hit VHS is where it kind of exploded. It tripled its money, which is kind of what we were talking about last week,
Right.
Yeah.
In the way that's how movies used to be. You could make a movie that wasn't great, or maybe it won't blow up in the theaters, but sometimes you can make a shit ton of money. Much like the next movie we're going to talk about, which bombed like crazy at the movie theater, and then weirdly enough on VHS made $100 million and is currently still one of MGM's top 20 earning movies of all time, because naked chicks. you gotta give it to America.
Not just naked chicks. The naked chick is from Saved by the Bell. What?
Yes,
But unfortunately, guys, not that one.
Oh yeah.
but let's jump
Damn
over.
you, Lark Voorhees.
Let's talk Showgirls. The
Finally.
1995 erotic drama directed by Paul Verhoeven. Now, we've had Paul Verhoeven on the show twice.
Yeah,
We've had
RoboCop,
Basic
right?
Instinct and RoboCop. just like both of them top-notch movies.
Just
like,
wait till we get to Mars.
yeah, right. I've gotta figure that one out. Unfortunately, Buenos Aires where it's set. But like this movie was notorious. I remember the poster. Now the one that's like it's a body and then it's the long leg, and I remember it because it was everywhere in the Hong Kong MTR when I was on vacation. I think in 1994. We were visiting Hong Kong. I was like 13, 14. And it was everywhere. And the teenage boy in me was like, I couldn't not look at the
Where's
poster.
the rest of it?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's just so naked. And then, again, you're finding out that it's Elizabeth Berkley, the nerdy girl from the show that, like, my generation, we all grew up with Saved by the Bell. And so we're like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? And it's like, it's one of those movies it's a movie many teenage boy that I knew saw on VHS when they were younger, but it's like watching it again as a grown person.
Yeah,
it is one of the weirdest fucking movies I've ever seen.
Insane.
It's
insane.
a lot.
Yeah,
Because I mean, for me, it's like we know Paul Verhoeven is a great director, and he's got an interesting idea and he's got an interesting perspective, and the way he looks at it, the way
and he just threw all of that out the window and made this movie.
because we do the satire of RoboCop and the sort of like the satire of
This has
Starship
none of that. I was expecting, again, watching it like through a modern lens, like, oh, maybe he's saying something with this, but no. It's just every single scene, every line, every character is cranked to fucking 15.
I mean, this is the first two of. If you're not watching, right? If you're listening, I'm showing my notebook because I've got.
It's just all drawings of boobies. That's like Dennis Reynolds' notebook.
6 pages of notes.
It is the size of all 3 like Lord of the Rings novels. Like that's how
It
for
is
people listening at home.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the most common notes I've got throughout it is 11 out of 10. Now, it's not a rating for the movie. Okay. What it is for some reason, and I don't know if it's an acting choice or a director to the actor, but Elizabeth Berkley in every situation responds to it at 11 out of 10.
Immediately.
Which is
everything.
And I mean, from the very beginning of the movie, she's walking, she's hitchhiking, she gets picked up by fucking Vegas Elvis, and she pulls a knife, just immediately. Her reaction to every situation is, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to throw my fries out of you.
French fry, the dashing of the French fry basket was really
different places. Yeah, that's a line reading that's in my head forever.
But back then, like you would write it off as like this is a shitty movie, but you appreciate it through this cult zeitgeist now, where its true art form has presented itself to you.
Well,
yeah,
it is a shitty movie, but it's directed by Paul Verhoeven. It had a $45 million budget, which in 1995 is not a small amount of money. Yeah. It's got Carl McLachlan, Gina Gershon, Glenn Plummer, all these other people sort of like turning up in the movie. Yeah. So it's not like. And
Glenn Plummer from Speed.
Is this the movie, Will, that they sold the screenplay?
For
Joe Esterhaus, and they wrote it on a fucking napkin or something like that.
Yeah, Joe Esterhaus, this was famous because this was like the most a screenwriter had ever made at this point.
To this day.
To this day, it will never be matched again. But yeah, no, it was the legend is that he wrote it on napkin, and just they sold the idea just based on that. Like he just basically pitched them that, and they were like, all right, here's $2 million. And
is it like the James Cameron story, the famous James Cameron story, which is like where he said he just wrote alien and then put the S and the dollar sign? Did he just write boobs with the S as a dollar sign? And they're like, guys,
MGM was like, you're a genius.
It was just 4 circles drawn on the napkin. He slowly slides it across. And he's like, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
It's Joe Esterhaus. Now, for some context at the time, he wasn't a nobody. Like it wasn't like he was like just some screenwriter who just happened to be in the right place. Like I think he wrote Basic Instinct.
Yeah, Jagged Edge, Flashdance.
Yeah, so he was a veteran by this point. So it wasn't like he was an unknown quantity. The studios had a lot of faith in him. The Fools. And then Yeah, he basically he just kind of pitched this movie, and they said, "Here's $2 million," and I think he's still laughing about it to this day. If you drive around the Hollywood Hills, you can hear Joe Esterhaus still laughing and cackling. Insane, absolutely insane.
So let's back up. Let's back up, and if you haven't seen this movie, give a quick premise of it. Basically, Nomi Malone, I want to say,
Yeah.
but oh my god, I can't wait to get into
Spelled
later.
with a K.
We're gonna, yeah. But she hitchhikes to Vegas, pulls a knife on this guy, and like she wants to go to Vegas because she wants to dance. She wants to be a dancer.
And hold on, the outfit she leaves what seems to be like North Dakota in, like it's cold. She's wearing the most insane outfit you've ever seen.
Or Utah, or where I was trying to figure out where it's supposed to be, but it was like 380 miles from Vegas. I was like, do the math.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, she's wearing a pair of shorts and a shirt with no bra, and
Constantly.
that's it.
Constantly.
Yeah. And then the guy is just convinced that she's definitely got a suitcase full of money. And you know, the one thing I noticed though, she pulls up at Vegas, how old Vegas looked in this movie suddenly. You know, because Vegas is like the future now, and you got the Sphere and all these old casinos that are being referenced in the movie. They've all gone. You know, they've all been blown up. So it was like, that was a quite interesting sort of bit to me. Another very interesting bit is clearly they had a lot of access to Vegas because they are shooting on gaming floors, they are shooting in theaters, they are shooting on the main strip, they are shooting everywhere.
I was just thinking,
I love how.
Sorry, I would say if you pretend that the movie Casino ends with the demolition of everything, and then it just goes right into this movie.
Yeah.
Flawless double feature.
Right up. Yeah.
It is a great Vegas double feature. But I like how, and it just, the way it presents Vegas as well. So she turns up at Vegas, she wins straight away, then she's lost all her money, then she gets robbed. But I love the bit that literally, like, we've watched her put her last silver dollar in, she pulls the thing, she's lost it, and she hits the machine, and a guy comes up next to her and he's like, "So, whore?" You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, she's been out of money for 1 second. He's like, "I got something for you, 15 minutes, you know."
If you've ever been to Vegas, I kind of get it. Like,
But then she's walking off, and he goes, "Eventually, you're gonna have to sell it." And I'm like, okay,
Again.
like, wow. Honestly, I have to be honest. Every single male character. In this
disgusting.
is
The worst.
obnoxious. Like the guys in the strip club. "I got something you can touch." I mean, like, just the worst day players ever.
Yeah. Just awful. This movie, if it was possible, I was gonna say, if it's possible to be physically slimy after watching a movie, this is the movie that makes that happen.
Still didn't make me feel as gross as watching like Bad Boys 2. Like, this
No, that is the one.
They're watching it like
there was
this.
no necrophilia in this movie, so thank God for that.
But like, yeah, my God.
saved
Dude,
that for
guys, we've been
Showgirls
talking
too.
about this movie for 15, 20 minutes already, and I've only 6 lines into my 6 pages of notes. So
You're actually writing more notes.
Yeah. So strap in, listeners. We've got another 9 hours.
because
But yeah, the guy that picks her up gives her $10. He's like, "I gotta talk to my uncle. He works here. We'll get you." I think he was gonna get her a job or something like that.
yeah, I'm gonna try and talk about getting her a job.
I forget that he just ditches her to steal her suitcase.
Yep.
Right.
That's it. So he probably just ended up with a bunch of underwear.
And then
So 2 seconds after being robbed, so then she goes 11 out of 10 by fucking up the car next to her in just terrible acting. She's just, being angry at this car. Then she assaults the car owner, which becomes her future friend, vomits, and then runs into
Yeah,
traffic.
the vomiting was nuts. Yeah.
The way she puts ketchup on her fries as 11 out of 10. And then the person is just innocently asking questions. She throws the fries. And I'm like, this
She's
woman.
like, "I guess you live with me now." Like, she's a stray
right.
fucking dog.
That's
and then
my
it cuts to,
note.
like 6 weeks later, like, Jesus
I'm like-
fucking Christ.
Inviting this woman to live with you is a terrible idea. She is clearly mentally ill. And I'm like, come live with me. I'm like, woman, you
And then
go die.
brings her to work with her. Well, I guess we established that she's a dancer, and then she brings her to work, and then there's monkeys.
The garlic eating monkeys, yes.
What is the name of the girl that looks after her? Molly. So yeah, Molly takes her in. We jump 6 weeks into the future. And again, another thing that's established in the movie is Naomi just likes to eat burgers and fries all the time.
Yeah.
She's just got an incredible metabolism, the bitch. It's like, I
all
can't
the
even look
cocaine,
at a burger without putting on weight.
Yeah, I think it establishes too, she has not done any drugs yet, because I think the first instance of that, she's like, "No, I don't do that.
Well,
I mean,
you
she
know,
gets into it, yes, but I think
Yes.
yeah, right.
but, well, we learn about her past later. But yes, much like sort of Will says, it turns out that Molly is like a seamstress and costume designer at the Stardust for a show called Goddess, which is basically a mostly
Streets of Fire with tits.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
And it rules.
With worst music.
Yeah. Yeah. And this show is insane. Like, so, like, I don't know if you've ever been to like a Showgirls type show in Vegas or like, you know, any of those. They are not like this at all. This is like so over the top. Maybe it was in the
I was
90s.
going to ask, yeah.
Like, but it's much sadder and much smaller. But the other thing they don't have that this movie, like, if you were to watch this movie, you'd be like, I guess they have that. There's no foreign press at like after the show, after all of these. There's literally like people from France interviewing the Showgirls after
This woman is the
every
biggest fucking
show.
star in the country in Vegas.
Gina Gershon is Michael Jordan level famous,
Yes.
and she is just the lead showgirl.
Rightfully so. I mean, come on.
Well, I think because they do say, "Oh, we could have got Latoya." I guess they're talking about Jackson, and we could have got this.
It's Paul. Was it Paul Abdul? I think.
Yeah, well, they'd say that later, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
they're kind of establishing that Crystal is like she might be a showgirl, but I think she might be a bit more famous than we think. They just never really get into it.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. Everyone, I will say, Gina Gershon included, but everyone in this show, incredible shape. Their arms, their abs.
Stunning.
I'm like, whoa!
Except for when you get to the interview when she's auditioning, so to speak. Those girls are disgusting. Let them go. Established again by this.
Just
by
hogs.
This sleazy,
Just-
it establishes he's like, you may know me. I'm the biggest prick you've ever met. And sure enough, he is.
He is.
That
But hang
guy.
on, we'll get there because what we have to do. Well, she goes backstage. Honestly, backstage is a hostile work environment in every way. There are so many lawsuits waiting to happen. Be it the monkeys running around, everybody screaming at everybody else, people
The
just bumping
precarious staircase that they mentioned several times.
Yeah. Why have that staircase? But it's like, and it's all again 11 out of 10 because she storms out of like Crystal's room. She again is just
Immediately.
Yep. You know, and then she's like, "I'm sorry," and she throws herself on a car. She acts.
And she's like,
the
"Hey,
way
let's go
a
to the
4-year-old
let's go to
acts
the
when they're
club."
having a tantrum. That's
I forgot
her, that's the whole movie.
You're right, and I forget that the scene to scene outbursts is such a fucking roller coaster because she has the outburst with Gina Gershon's character in the dressing room. She has the outburst in the street in the car. They go to the club. She has the outburst with the guy trying to dance with her.
Whoa. We're in the club. Because we've established she wants to be a dancer, and she's in the club
my
doing
God.
the
The worst
dancing I've ever seen.
I mean, comically bad. You think like, oh, it's just a product of its time. No, it is
No.
terribly bad dancing.
Nobody
Yeah, because
It's
remember
like
how
Elaine-
sexy
it's Elaine
Michael
from
Douglas
Seinfeld
dancing in the
dancing.
club? Yeah, it's like
How
Michael
could I
Douglas,
forget?
Sharon Stone. It's like with this one, she's just throwing her hair around.
It's a full body dry heave set to music.
It's sad when Crispin Glover's dancing in Friday the 13th Part 4 is better than this. Like, it is that level awful.
That's a deep cut reference,
Yeah.
though. I'm going to have to
Look-
find
everyone with your
Look it up.
everyone with your everyone with your United States of Movie podcast bingo card, circle off your. Will
that's going to
mentions
be the
Friday
promo.
13th, Part 4.
I'm gonna cut Elizabeth Berkley dancing and Crispin Glover dancing apparently from Friday the 13th.
That's good.
Another thing I noted down is she gets out of prison the next day because she gets into a fight.
She is bailed out of prison.
Yeah. By, again, a character that doesn't even need to be in this movie. No one's motivations make any sense. No one has a character arc. It is the exact opposite of Tremors.
I will say that actor is
Go
so
on.
good. He's so good. He's like everything that he's in is fantastic. He's in Speed and Speed 2 Cruise Control. He's in Strange Days and this
Yeah.
movie. I mean, that's 4 for 4 bangers.
Not one miss in any of those.
But like, she tosses him a quarter to go buy a coffee
A coffee. Yeah.
in Vegas. A coffee in Vegas today probably costs about $45.
I mean, unless it was from like a gas station, maybe.
Do they have strip gas stations? Is that how that worked back then?
I guess you could go to the casino, play at the slots that one quarter,
Good point.
and then wait and just get
Yeah.
free
Just
coffee.
pretend to play and someone brings it to you. Yeah.
The actor we're talking about is Glenn Plummer.
Yeah.
He's in Menace to Society, which we had the other day on our Framed, which we play every single day. He's done a load of stuff, you know. And the thing is, he is great, but I'm saying his character's shit. Is what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just I don't get anything.
None of these characters I think have any redeeming qualities whatsoever. Not a single one of them, except maybe the costume
friend.
designer.
Yeah.
No. Robert Darby. This character.
Oh my god. We'll get to that. Hang on. We'll get to that.
He's kind of the father figure.
That's the very next.
Definitely is. He definitely is the father. Her and oh my god, the woman.
My favorite lady. Yeah.
The larger woman who makes just the most misogynistic
who can
joke.
fart her tits out.
Yeah, it seems to be, and she just
It's an apparatus that she squeezes together her breasts.
But I think that she makes a joke that I almost in a way sort of boils down the movie.
What's the useless skin around a vagina?
What do you call the useless piece of skin around a vagina? A woman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And the thing is that's even more troubling a line from half the things that Robert Davi says, which he's got some iconic ones, which is just like, it must be weird having nobody come on you, which is maybe one of the greatest lines.
The top quote on the IMDb page for this movie. I almost spit my
It's on the back of the VHS box.
You hold on, but it's at the tail end of this actually very sweet moment because she's working at the strip club for Al's strip club and cafe. I don't know. But him as he's this real piece of shit. Again, every man in this movie is a piece of shit. But you have this really sweet moment where, she quits there to go do the Showgirl, and he comes and watches the show to check it out with her. And it ends like they have this really sentimental moment. He's like, "Wow, Naomi, you fucking made it. What's it like not having guys? You must feel weird not having guys come on you." End scene.
Yeah. I mean, it's not played as a weird line.
No. Dodge, ball, ending.
Yeah.
Credits.
He says it with such great, like he's acting in this movie.
Yeah.
He means it when he says it, and he's like, oh man, you made it. It must be great having nobody come on you. And I'm just like, I burst out laughing.
He says it with the same like sincerity that they say like at the end of King Kong, like 'twas beauty that killed the beast. It's the same line delivery.
Oh my god.
God,
this really like somber violin plays. Beautiful.
Yeah, you're just.
I was crying.
I was in your eye. Yeah.
I mean the whole backstage.
You
of the,
never see them again.
No.
Nope.
But the whole backstage at the strip club when we're first introduced to it, and like the face on, I think her name's Penny, who is the actual star of the sequel.
Her name's. Do you know what her full name is?
No.
Penny Slot.
No. Not.
Boo. Is it too late to get the $2 million back from Joe Esterhaus?
Yeah. Boo. But like her face when she's getting the Robert Darby briefing, it's like she can't tell if he's joking or not. She did actually some pretty quality acting. I'm going to give her that one. It's
funny she was in this movie and also Striptease with Demi Moore.
Is she in Striptease as well? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Right. Which state was that in?
Florida.
Yeah. Florida, of course it bloody was. And then, there's more 11 out of 10. She storms off, 11 out of 10. She grabs her nightie, 11 out of 10. And then, honestly, the most troubling thing in the entire movie is Kyle MacLachlan's hair. It just makes me so uncomfortable. Like, he's got that weird, it's so long on one side.
The Fall Out Boy kind of cut. Very emo for its time.
Yeah, he was doing Fall Out Boy.
And I got another 11 out of 10 is like, anytime she's dancing, but like, stripping, like dancing on him, it is like pelvic thrusting. I get that scene later in the pool. I'm like, this is not sexy at all.
No,
that is that's a callback. It's a clever bit of filmmaking where they call back to the move that she does. But that's the bit that I've got.
She pulls out his graboid. Sure. Okay.
But so Gina Gershon comes in, buys her just to mess with her to dance with Kyle. Yeah, $500. Yeah, and deal. But my whole thing, my note is like, well, one, it's like, what a ridiculous lap dance. She's at 11 out of 10 as well. It's only a 90-second lap dance that costs $500. But my whole thing is, imagine being one of those extras in the background. So there's like 4 or 5 extras.
It's not a private room at all.
No. So there's 5 people getting other full nude lap dances in the background, and then you've got the star of the movie that she's doing 16-hour days, just completely nude.
You would think that would be distracting for all the other dancers too. Like just this, like This is like people turning around like, what the fuck is going on out there?
It looks kind of like she's trying to rip his head off. Like it is. There's just it's like an attempted murder is happening, and nobody's doing.
Poor guy must be chafed as hell after that.
Oh, God. Yeah, Mr. Goopy Pants afterward. Like, God, he's got to leave the strip club like that. I can't. The health rating here cannot be good. I'll put it out.
And then you get the Glenn's character. Kind of, he also happens to be in the club when this happens.
Well,
and he like Saunders into the back.
He tries to talk to women, and he's like, because he literally goes, "I got the quote, I wrote it down." He's like, well, basically, he's like, he goes, "Bitch, you talented."
Yeah. Oh yeah. He calls. Yeah. It's
just casual. He's like later on when he's got Penny. He's like, "Hey, Penny,
come on, bitch,
get me a drink. She's pregnant. We're getting married."
Yeah. My other favorite line of his is earlier when he's chastising her for dancing with other guys. He's like, "Man, everybody's got AIDS and shit."
Yes. How do you know that? Well, I guess it was the 90s.
That line, like,
trust me, I'm fucking everybody.
I checked. Yeah. God.
But then we get to, so she gets the audition. So she's angry and gets the audition probably because of Gina Gershon to come to test out for Goddess. And it's like you mentioned, Ryan, but the audition is just this guy doing a live roast. He's like, "Hey, did I see you got your nose fixed? Your ears are sticking out. Come back later. What are these melons? Get your tits out of here." It's
he interviews it's like 15 women and he narrows it down to like 5 maybes.
Yeah. It's just a roast. He just roasts them. Yeah. And just got like, you've got this sort of like the ginger head sort of like quasi gay sort of like choreographer in the background. You just kind of like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the quintessential gay character actor in that time period for sure.
He was. Yeah. But then all it says is, "I swear I just don't understand Nomi at all. I don't understand anything she's doing, any of her choices, any of anything."
But she knows all the dance moves immediately. Yeah.
Well, she's a good dancer. And the thing is,
is she?
Yeah.
We spent the last 20 minutes saying
she's a dancer, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's like, when she goes to visit her friend and watches the show for the first time, and she's like apparently standing in front of like a table of people doing that. Everyone's like,
people have spent $25,000 for this table, and she's just standing there in the middle. Excuse me, miss, could you mind? Could you move? And she's just going,
God, and she just lifts up their French fries.
Yeah, not only is like all of her reactions to everything insane, like sanely, like over the top, it's also like just so out of left field. It's just not a decision a human would make at any given point, and it makes it so hard to like understand like what was the original goal? Are we supposed to relate to her, or is she supposed to be an agent of chaos who like comes into this world and shakes everything up? I don't understand what the intent was.
I don't think you're alone there. I mean,
well, there's the bit that I found strange was like, and the fact that I've seen this movie a couple of times, but I never figured it out. But is that when she's at the first casting, the guy comes in, the guy that was roasting everybody, and he calls her, "Oh, Pollyanna."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What?" And she whips around, and like, you know, Pollyanna is like, you know, that sort of the character that's somewhat, you know, they're constantly, you know, they're always looking on the best, or they're way too optimistic. The fact that towards the end of the movie, the last
her
5,
name.
It's her actual name, and that's when I honestly just wanted to throw something at the TV.
Process. I'm like, what? I thought that was just a weird.
Nope.
Like, them trying to tie a loose end.
And that's where Verhoeven's like, oh, what, you know, what's his name? The guy that wrote it, Joe Esterhaus, was like, got him. They never saw it coming. I'm like, dude, are you kidding? It must be nice.
I was looking for that.
Come on, you.
You really blew his load with that line.
I just earned my $2 million. Yeah.
There's so much like there couldn't be any more foreshadowing about the stairs.
The reveal of her backstory is so uninteresting too. Like, there's this whole mystique around like no one knows where she came from. I mean, she came from places, but
it's
from different places.
Murder, suicide, and then she gets into prostitution and drugs. And I'm like,
you're like, oh, so it's all the things I just assumed. Like,
right. Yeah,
it's not like she was a fucking doctor or something.
Yeah, but like it does in some way explain why anytime anybody insinuates that what she's doing is prostitution, she gets very, very angry. And I'm like, oh, it's the subtext is there.
We all prostitutes, bitch.
It's the another part where it's the same thing with Glenn Plummer. And I think it's when she goes to see his show, which she's doing with Penny Slot,
which again is so comically bad.
But like, so that's right. No, it's It's because he's been caught sleeping with Penny because she's gone by. But what do you care? You're not sleeping with the guy anyway. You got no ownership of this guy, and he's like talking about his dancing. And again, I wrote this down. This is his argument. It's not like I'm making any money. I might as well get some pussy. All right.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nailed it. You know what I mean? I also said that the cocaine budget was like Don Simpson levels for this movie. Not just pretend cocaine, but I'm saying real cocaine. Because they're just blasting coke left, right, and center in this movie.
It's everywhere. She has it in like a little ring. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Is that Gina?
Gina Gershon's a fucking badass character in this movie.
Yeah.
Gina Gershon is definitely one of the highlights of this movie.
I will give you another highlight.
Yeah. Sorry?
I will give you another highlight. The interaction between the two dancers downstairs, the goth white girl and the sassy black girl is just angry all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I go, they've got, so yeah, exactly. So the sort of the alt girl, she's there with her two children. And this is where, like, this is my actual, so you've got tits everywhere, you've got alcohol and cocaine everywhere, and you've got wild, like, chimps running around. And then the other stripper says the F word, and the kid, like I said, surrounded by breasts, drugs, alcohol, and wild animals, goes, "You said the F word," and I wrote down, "Is this the satire? Like, is this what we're going for?
Is this a story about like finding like a found family? Like, was the kind of only like thread line I was getting like, oh, the guy like Al at the strip club and the other woman like, oh, they're like family figures, and this, and the costume designer's like her sister, like it's this newfound family, but none of that matters, and all of it goes away.
And everybody hates each other. Everybody's trying to backstab each other, except for like her nice friend, who, by the way, like in the most disgusting scene in the entire movie,
it's horrific.
Is the rape scene with her, which is so vile. I'm just like that. It's irresponsible to put it in the movie. It's like the one part of the film where I'm like, okay, we're not having fun anymore.
Yeah, like you could have pulled some punches there. You didn't.
Yeah, this is just awful.
Literally pulled some punches. It is
right.
It is It is so unnecessary. It's also, again, so every sex scene, every strip scene, or every sort of assault scene all takes place in the time of 90 seconds. Because, like, if you look at the timeline when you're watching the movie, she goes upstairs, they dance for half a song, she comes back downstairs. But it's like, the Andrew Carver thing is so, I think that's the character's name.
Yes.
It's so unnecessary. And it's also just like, you know, even like the fact that Molly, when she meets him, she goes, I can't even thread a needle, which is the callback to her saying she's been masturbating so much because she hasn't. But it's like, and then it cuts back to him. I don't know who this actor is, but he's just aggressively sort of stabbing her in the ear with his tongue. I'm like, it sucks. I hate that scene. I hate Molly have to get this.
Yeah, and I feel like in a normal film, the intention would be to make you feel that way, but I didn't feel like that was the intent here. Like, it was just gross to be gross. I don't know, like,
yeah, when everything else in the movie is so like depressing and sad, and then it's like, we're gonna hit you with something like even sadder. It's like, well, I have nothing to contrast this with other than like, this is a whole new level of gross and bad.
Yeah,
that I don't want to be watching.
Yeah, in any other film, I feel like it would be a slap and it would all happen off screen and you'd see her come out. But this is just this earns its NC-17 rating for that. Like,
right.
Yeah. You know,
it is. I that scene again. It's I mean, and considering, you know, and it's interesting that we're talking about because there's a lot of other fucked up shit in Paul Verhoeven.
I can watch Kyle MacLachlan come in his pants all day. What I will not tolerate is
that's why I follow him on Instagram. Yeah.
It's the only reason anyone watched Twin Peaks and Dune.
Let's for a second though. Let's talk about, like, because straight after Al's "It Must Be Weird Having Nobody Come on You," we then have Nomi talking to Kyle MacLachlan, who's also done, by the way, some of the best flip phone acting I've seen in a long time. He's just flipping it closed, flipping it open, flipping it closed.
Hold on, I got to take this. Yeah. Oh, because this is after the boat prostitute thing, like
that whole thing. But then she's talking to him. She goes, "I loved it when you came," you know, calling back to it. And I'm like, okay. And then we go to like the neon trees by the pool. Just
so fucking
terrible.
That's why I said to myself, like, this is so fucking tacky, even for Vegas.
Yeah,
it's like a Vegas club like show manager. Does he manage the hotel? I forget.
He's just entertainment manager or something like that, I think is what he is. But yeah, that is oh my God, those trees. I was just like
so
literally
bad.
ugh.
So bad.
And then
Worse than the sexual assault scene.
Well, that's like, but the sex scene. Well, one, it's like pool sex, which if anyone's ever tried it, is the worst there possibly.
The moves she's making are physically impossible.
Yeah, nothing makes any
and
sense.
would guaranteed send you to the hospital if you could even maintain an erection through that. It's
right.
nuts
He's
to me.
definitely breaking his penis. She's waterboarding herself.
He just did a bunch of cocaine. Like this, it's physically impossible.
It is the most ridiculous sex scene I think I've ever seen in any movie, including terrible porn.
It was so bad I had to rewind it 3 times.
Just to make sure they got
He opens a bottle of champagne, which I assume it looked like Cristal.
It was Cristal.
Right, for the time, which wasn't really a big, huge thing until like the 2000s. I'm sure it's still an expensive bottle. He opens it, pours it all over her into the pool.
Yep. And then they leave, and I'm like, this is the dad in me. I'm just like going, oh my God, glass in the pool area, bad idea.
No.
This is sex in the pool, bad idea. You know, it's just and then I'm like, they do it, and I'm like, I just write, cut, print, got it. I'm like, really, guys? We didn't think of maybe an alternate take of this one? No, the thing you did, like a fish.
They only had one condom.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, do you want to maybe do it
for the entire movie?
That looks like a human did it. Like, do we want to try that one?
Yeah, just so many bizarre choices. Like,
yeah, it's the movie that convinced me that Paul Verhoeven has never had sex. Like, I refuse to believe it. I'm like, no, you never. This movie's.
But imagine like you're a young teen and watching this for the first time, and like this is your basis for what sex is.
I don't know.
And you get to have sex for the first time, and you're attempting.
Why are you not
these moves?
Yeah, you should be flopping around. What's going on here?
Why are you not trying to break me in half?
Where are your palm trees? What's going on here?
So then, like, that character that I was talking about. So yeah, Glenn Plummer, James' character. So we see him dancing with Polly. I was mentioning it earlier, but I've got them all written down. Is that he comes off stage? He's been booed off stage. And then
he him off stage. They don't finish. I don't think he finishes the show.
No, the only people in the movie who made any sort of sensible decision are the ones who played him off stage.
He's like this was his thing. He worked on this. He wrote this song, wrote this this like what looks like a Janet Jackson video. Gets off stage and she's like, "Well, what are you going to do? This was your dream." He's like, "You heard him. It said it sucked. And that's it." They say goodbye. You never see him again.
Well, he doesn't quite, because then he says to Penny, he goes,
"Oh right.
Get me a beer, bitch."
Yep.
We're getting married. She dances like a truck. She's pregnant. Then we never see him again. I'm like, so that I just wrote, what is the point of his character? What is the point? This why?
You would think in any other movie,
he's the one who got away.
She would be like his Patrick Swayze to teach her how to dance to get this audition.
Right.
None of that happens.
Nope.
She gets it for having great tits.
Yep.
Right?
It's 100%.
According to the guy in the film. He looks at her, like when they audition, he looks at her and goes, "Nice."
Yeah.
Next.
And I was hoping to be
very nice.
I was hoping to be having more fun watching this movie, but it was like, I was mostly just mystified as to like.
But your wife had a blast.
You're right. But I'm just saying is like, but they say cut. Got it. Move on. Are you sure, Paul? Are you sure that's the line you want to go with? We're just gonna move. Okay. Okay.
I mean, according to the behind the scenes of this movie, everybody was having a great time. I think Elizabeth Berkley said like Paul Verhoeven had like notebooks full of like his like thoughts, and he was thought like in depth about every scene. Like he poured over this movie, and she's like,
it's all
he would refer
crayon.
to the yeah. It's just
I've had this since I was 13.
Yeah. So like, and Paul Verhoeven's a very smart director, but like this was just something where he had a few hits in a row. Everybody was like at the top of the world, and they were like, Paul said it's good, we're good. Like move on.
Was the pitch for this like sexual thriller, and they're like, oh, let's get Paul Verhoeven who did Basic Instinct, right? Like he's the perfect one for it.
Well, no, because didn't Joe Esterhaus wrote, like I said, he wrote Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's just do that again. It made $400 million. Let's go for another one.
You've got two people. Yeah,
Let's not this time we won't do is not a hint of labia. We will give all the labia. You know, it's like, oh, done. Here you go.
Like, but that's the thing. Like the nudity, whatever, adds nothing to this movie.
No,
it's just a bad movie.
Yeah,
that happens to have nudity.
Yeah, it's a movie for as much nudity as there is. It is the least erotic movie you could ever watch. Like,
you tell people this has an NC-17 rating, they're like, why? I mean, obviously the assault and the stuff you do see, but still, it's like pretty tame in comparison.
It's strange. It is a strange movie. And then, like I said, I write, oh, Pollyanna, her name is Polly Ann, and I'm like, it was supposed to be something, and I'm just, I rolled my eyes so hard, I think I gave myself an injury. I have
to imagine, though, like, is this the movie that created, like, Cinemax? Because I feel like that's the channel this movie was on when it was on cable. I doubt it was, like, this NC-17 version, but...
Yeah, because there was, like, the TV edit. Well, apparently, I was seeing there was an Indian edit that they cut 23 minutes out of the movie.
No, I thought you were going to say the movie's only 23 minutes long.
Yeah. It's just the monkeys. There's nothing.
It's the opening scene and the closing scene. That's it.
Yeah. So it's Pollyanna. So we find out. So she's become the star of What's Its Face of Goddess because she's pushed Gina Gershon down the stairs, and Gina Gershon was like, "Good for you, girl." What?
I would have done the same thing.
It's like, okay. And it's like, that's where we find out Carl McLaughlin is like, your name's Pollyanna. It goes through the murder-suicide and the solicitation and stuff like that. And he goes, you know, how much did you charge? He goes, 50 or 100. And he's like, oh, man. It's like, you were way better hooker than $50. I was paying you a compliment. Like, it's like, that's his idea of a compliment, is you're a much better hooker than $50.
He uses the same line on her that she heard the guy use at the boat show, so that she was able to piece together, like, oh, because he fake fires him, right? Mm-hmm. So she was like, that's the one character revelation. She's like, oh, he's not good.
That's writing. That's writing.
That's worth, right there. That's worth $2 million. Yeah.
So then she goes in, dresses up like she's going to bang Andrew Carver, beats the ever-living shit. By the way, did she know Kung Fu? Because I will give you credit.
She's
the
a
one
dancer.
Satisfying part of the movie is her beating him up. It's like, It's quite fun.
Yeah. And I like the idea that the two goons are outside just doing a crossword puzzle, like, hey, I bet they're having fun. Like,
Well, and then she comes out 75 seconds later and she's like, he's gone to sleep. And they're like, wow, you must have really worn him out. I'm like, see, all sex in this movie is 90 seconds long. And then
unwarranted.
And then we get the stupidest fucking ending, okay, which is she hitchhikes the same.
What are the fucking chances?
Elvis picks her up. I don't have a problem with that. It cracks me. But for me, he's like, what did you win? And she goes, me. And I just was like, what does that even mean?
Because she's me
hold
alone.
Get out of town.
Well, she goes to visit Gina Gershon's character after seeing her friend just brutally beaten to the brink of death. She goes to see Gina Gershon, who's like a floor above her. They have this really beautiful moment together where they're like, we're not so different, you and I. They open mouth kiss, and then she gets her hat and she fucking leaves and hitchhikes from the hospital. And the most serendipitous thing, you wouldn't even believe it, happens. The same hitchhiker fucking picks her up, somehow doesn't recognize her after doing that. I wonder if he still has her fucking suitcase.
Well, he does say as they're driving away, I will get you your suitcase back. But then as it happens, you reveal the goddess sort of like thing, but then it sort of zooms in on Los Angeles, 250 miles. And that was supposed to be the sequel, Nomi Does Hollywood, with Paul Verhoeven.
No Malone 2.
I'm so glad they didn't.
I am a little curious about the sequel, though, because there's a lot of actors from this movie also in the sequel when I was pulling up the IMDb page. Mostly the fucking sleazeball, the boat show guy, and I think a couple other people.
Yeah. But, man, this movie, I mean... one of the scenes we didn't talk about is the Caesar's Palace scene. I just want to talk about it because it's something I think about all the time.
When they go to Spago?
Where they're sitting across from each other and they're talking about eting dog food.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's one of those scenes. Yeah, like, I love puppy chow. You eat puppy chow? Yeah.
But also,
I'll be chow.
I get that she's supposed to
What?
be. Yeah, I get that she's supposed to be like wildly famous in this town, but who is asking for their autograph? Like, in what world are you asking for Gina Gershon's autograph in this movie?
Vegas Showgirls are the most famous people on the planet in this universe. So. It's like No Holds Barred, where wrestling is the most
important thing on the planet. One of Siegfried and Roy's tigers for an autograph. Crazy to me. Can we talk about like the actual choreography, like the actual shows they were putting on, because they were fucking nuts. Like you had the one with the lava and that one, the biker one I thought was insane because you have her riding up
bikes.
Yes. That was the Streets of Fire moment for me. I'm like, oh, it's just Streets of Fire. Cool. I should watch that.
There's the one where they they ambush the other dancer with the the diamonds and stuff like that. It was a weird
culprit.
And then at the end of it, it seems to be that then she rises up into heaven. It seems to be the final part of the show seems to just be
she ascends,
naked chick ascends, and I'm like, I'm not quite sure what we were trying to.
I wish it would have cut to the audience and there's just like children there. Just like I also have one more question.
The substance. Cut to the audience, they're just kids. Yeah.
Another reason The Substance is the best movie ever. I'm just curious. You bought your tickets. God knows how much they cost. $500, $25,000. Who knows? You go to the show. What is this opening act with these monkeys? Is that a different show? Are you just like, I want that movie where it's all from the perspective of this guy trying to wrangle these monkeys for that show.
That's right, because they're like stage left, monkey shit.
Let me tell you, me and I'm Michael. I know you're listening. We talked about this back in the day. One of my best friends, Michael, when we lived together, we were obsessed with figuring out the backstory for this movie, and we wrote. I gotta find it. We wrote like a treatment of an Ocean's 11 style heist movie that would have explained all the weirdness in this movie, where it's like the part of the distraction was like, okay, we've got these garlicky eating monkeys that are like cause a distraction. Our undercover guys are going to pretend to be like foreign press people. And it's like, well, won't people notice? It's like, no. Listen, there's going to be so much chaos. No one's going to be paying attention.
Kyle MacLachlan as himself.
Yeah. We had everything mapped out. We knew like what everything this movie like was going to be. And all the weirdness in this movie was going to be absolutely explained. I got to find that treatment somewhere. But we do have it.
We'll do a live table read. Yeah.
we do have to make that movie.
It's called Dunstan Checks In. God, this movie is a fucking fever dream. Like, I don't remember it being so insane because when I was younger, I just couldn't wrap my brain around the idea of it a bad movie. Because when you're that age, you're not watching this on the best terms. Like, you're watching it with the door to your room closed, or someone has the VHS of it and you're not supposed to be seeing it. Same thing with like, it was this in Wild Things, right? Very similar kind of coming of age tale. Get it?
But Wild Things is a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a really good movie. This is not a good movie.
No. I do but if you're listening, like, definitely watch this with a group of people because it's fucking nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think a group of people and just as a drinking game. Yeah, I think this movie is a fun way to do it. I'm amazed they didn't do it because they tried, but I'm amazed it didn't take off like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right, yeah. Because it's a bad movie. Like, take all of the fun away from like watching it and talking about it. It's structurally a terrible film.
Yeah, it's terrible. Which we've established. But what we do need to establish is, are Tremors or Showgirls, are either of those movies more Nevada than Casino? Now, and I'm going to throw some stuff out here because when we talked about Casino versus, National Lampoon last time and stuff like that, is what we did say is that Casino does give us Vegas, sure, but it also gives us the desert. There's the little bits of like, are you going to get buried out there, and dealing with the locals and the cowboys and all this kind of other stuff, right? Showgirls is almost exclusively Vegas, and Tremors is almost exclusively the nuclear test site, like I was saying, that they're living.
That area where they bury all the bodies at casino is where all the graboids live.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the connection.
Ooh, that's what Casino needed, is some more fun. I feel like every movie needs more graboids. You know?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so what do you guys think? Because it's a, because last time we had like Ocean's 11, which was our argument with it was too much Vegas. National Lampoon were like too much Vegas, and then Casino were like, well, Vegas, but
but it also represented like a different era, like a different time period too. That was kind of like really captured that. I guess Showgirls does kind of do that in a way, different time period that doesn't really exist anymore.
It doesn't even really exist then. Showgirls is a completely made up universe. It just doesn't represent reality.
You could set that movie in fucking like I guess it could be Reno or Atlantic City. It would be the same fucking movie too, right? Like.
Honestly, you could set it on the moon in the future.
Yeah.
Showgirls 3, let's do it.
So honestly, like, do either of you think either of these movies have got the chops to take on Casino?
I going into it, I forgot we were pitting it back up against Casino, but the reason I picked Tremors, we talked about it, was because taking the Vegas out of it, it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to find a lot of like Nevada movies. But this one always comes up on the list, even though none of it's shot in Nevada, but that doesn't really matter so much. It could just be set in any small Western town, really. Like,
yeah, you're not wrong. I feel like, I think we did very well with Casino that first time around. And I liked that we threw Tremors in, because I was like you, Ryan, I go, ooh, is this going to be kind of like, give us that kind of...
Pick us a non-casino movie. It's hard to do.
Right.
It is very hard to do, because they're like, no offense to Nevada, but like, when you think Nevada, you think...
Yeah, it's Vegas or Reno. There's no, like, what else is there,
Yeah, because everything else is... Yeah, everything else is just kind of the desert, which is most of Nevada, so that Tremors has that going for it. Right. But also Tremors looks like exactly when I drive through back home to Arizona. Like, it just looks like all that. So... Yeah, it's kind of more Nevada is just kind of a place they picked, and
So are we maintaining? Casino?
I really thought Showgirls was gonna be the one.
I kind of I'm not gonna lie, because I kind of thought it too. I did think that both these movies, I was like, oh, okay, Showgirls is gonna get, instead of it being all criminal, it's just gonna be much more about how the place works. No, it's just garbage.
It's just
And Tremors is brilliant. I mean, Tremors, no joke, okay? Tremors is a great movie. That is one of those recommend. We 100% recommend. You should find Tremors. You should own
perfect movie. Yeah.
Watch it with your teens. It's fun.
Timeless. It's a timeless movie, for sure.
Timeless is absolutely the word.
Same as Casino too,
But then the Showgirls is so... If you're not a group of girls in your early 20s or your 40s or something like that, and you're not drinking Prosecco the entire time, don't bother.
It's a weird audience for this movie.
Right, but I'm just like, but it's at the same, it's not at the same time, because I was like, guys, are you looking for a sexy movie? It's not this.
Right,
right.
It's like, it's full of nudity, but you're not really going to enjoy it. It's just stupid. It's like, it's just dumb.
Yeah, I can't think of a good opportunity to watch this movie unless you're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, Ryan, you've actually answered the question you posed at the beginning about like, why have other podcasts not done Showgirls?
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we stumbled on the answer.
So we're no better off than we were at the beginning.
Well, we're better off in knowing that Tremors is still just as good as it was in the 90s.
It was good to get all of this off of our perky chests to talk about this movie. Really, I feel like we made some great progress here today, fellas.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, still champion of Nevada here at the United States for Movie Podcast is Martin Scorsese's stone cold classic Casino. Though this is another one of those states that has a very, very deep bench. What movies were we circling as well? Yeah. I know that like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is one that I feel
that comes up a lot.
It does a lot.
I wanted to pick Leaving Las Vegas, Nick Cage.
You were talking about it all week. That you were like, I should have done Leaving Las Vegas.
I didn't even think of it until I think like yesterday, but it was too late.
But I'm like, and then wait a minute, what did I send you guys yesterday? Some random Tommy Lee Jones, Linda Hamilton movie, like about a car powered by water.
It's a hydrogen car that goes 324 miles per hour and is powered by hydrogen. It's and then that was the name of the car was the film.
And it just randomly popped up on Twitter or something. And I go, guys, we messed up. Tommy Lee Jones movie, water powered car. Let's see what happens. Guys,
Kickstarter campaign. What? Yeah.
It's called Black Moon Rising.
Black Moon Rising. That's right.
That's right. Because I was going to say Black Rain again, but I'm like, no, that's God. Be in that movie. I can't.
Oh my God!
Ever get that movie right?
Black Moon Rising. By the way, it didn't even. It's story by and screenplay by John Carpenter.
Right. That's it. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I watched the trailer for it, and it does look pretty fucking rad.
But yeah, they steal a car from Vegas, but most of the movie takes place in LA.
Right.
So I guess we're doing it for LA.
I watched that show and I'm like, dude, James Caan should have been the lead of this movie.
Oh yeah, completely. You know, he looks like him. Other movies though, like so, I sort of Fools Rush In. I remember seeing, which is
I love that movie. Yeah.
Matthew Perry, which is just suburban Nevada. So we could maybe, if we wanted to go suburbia, there's also Pay It Forward, that schlocky, you know, Haley Joel Osment. One where he's at school, which is again, it's like, I think maybe next time around we need to really, really try to avoid Vegas, and just try to find something suburbanized. I mean, it says, "Honey, I blew up the kid." I mean,
it's where they show dynamite down the kid, right?
Hell yeah! You had some
everything Ryan loves in a movie.
Yes.
Well, isn't there a movie that takes place at one of isn't there like a bunny ranch movie?
Yes, it's called Love Ranch. I'm looking at it right now. Grace and Charlie talking about Nevada's first legal brothel. That could be fun. I mean, like, anything's better than Showgirls. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're really two at different ends of the spectrum with like Tremors right there in the fucking middle.
There's the amazing Colossal Man. If we want to go old style. So we have
it's Will's TikTok handle.
But yeah, I mean, this week I think like they like this didn't quite have the chops to topple Casino, which is a banger. I think next time around we're gonna have to try and get a little bit inventive.
Yeah.
But at this point, then, seeing we've crowned our champion, is where are we going next week? The great thing about season 2 is we are following in the footsteps of season 1. So we already know, baby. So we're going to go back to North Carolina. Now, I had a chat with a friend of the pod, Beth Troutman, today. I'm going to see if we can get her on the show. No guarantee. She is a very busy lady. Very successful radio show in North Carolina. So she like goes to bed at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and she's on the East Coast and Will's on the West Coast. So it brings the whole sort of situation that like Will would have to be getting up at like 4 a.m. Anyway, so our champion, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, from North Carolina was Bull Durham.
Bull Durham,
yeah.
What a movie. Oh, I could rewatch that movie right now. So what we're doing differently here, like in season 2, if you've already been listening, what we do now is we are going to tell you the movies that we are selecting to talk about next week. So if you want to, don't watch Showgirls. You can watch along with us, so that you can, you know, if when you're listening to it, you can talk about it. You can
get pre-upset by our choices. No more waiting a week to see how shitty we are. Well, right away.
We've gone quite random actually, but I'm very excited about one of our choices. Because the first one, the one that Ryan immediately suggested is The Campaign, which is the Will Ferrell, Zach Galifianakis movie, which I think, like Ryan says,
I'm convinced we watched it together.
But we were probably so, at that point, 2 o'clock in the morning, kind of messed up that I know I saw it, but I don't remember it. But there is another movie that I saw when I was maybe about 12. It came on very, very late at night, and it was so strange. And it's famous for being the movie that Stephen King directed on so much cocaine that he has no recollection of making this movie. It is the movie Maximum Overdrive.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? Okay.
No. You're in for a treat.
It is so weird. And I cannot wait.
Second Emilio Estevez movie in as many weeks.
Oh, and I was watching Young Guns last night. So yeah, guys, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited for North Carolina. Nevada was an interesting ride. Yeah. I've never disliked a movie with that much quality female nudity in it in my life, but good God, That movie was bad.
Oh, it's only our fourth or fifth episode, so we got time. We'll get there.
We'll find a worse one.
That's the United States of a movie guarantee.
So yeah, you can go looking for Maximum Overdrive of the campaign. One tip we always give you: go check in on YouTube. You'd be surprised, especially with older movies, how many movies you can
I feel like
find.
Maximum Overdrive is a very YouTube.
Probably going to be able to find it. Also, don't forget, what is the one? Is it? I can't remember. Is it? It's not Tubi, but there is one of those. One of the streamers is
Pluto.
If you have a library card, it's a streamer that will allow you to get a movie for free.
Yes.
Is it free?
I'm going to look it up so people can do it, because you should support your local libraries as well.
Yes, it's very cool. I've used it before. I can't remember the name of it.
I know Adam mentioned it, but someone with an F.
Oh, there's so many that I can't remember. Yeah. Hoopla, is that maybe it? Yes,
that's it. Yes,
Hoopla. If you have a library card, you can then stream all kinds of movies for free, which is a fantastic opportunity as well. So keep an eye out for those. So next week we'll be heading to the state of North Carolina to topple Bull Durham, which is going to be a tricky one. Let's be honest. Don't forget, if you want to see more or hear more or get involved in more of what I'm doing, you can find me as that Englishman in Texas or as Ollie Pettigrew on Facebook. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and stuff like that, talking about Texas and my adventures here. I also talk about movies, usually on a Monday, where I'll be talking about the movies we do on the podcast. You can find Will, as always, as Entitled Millennial on TikTok. I would recommend it. Will's got a massive movie collection. He likes to get into old movies you maybe never heard of, and it's a great way to learn about movies you might want to watch. Ryan is no longer on Etsy because he's been banned.
And for life, baby.
But you can find him other places like Threadless and stuff like that. Just look him up as Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital. He's got some incredibly good designs, so good that so many people are buying them that he got banned. So you know they must be good. He redesigns movie posters. He does his great design for Senna. Honestly, Ryan,
that's what got me banned.
the Senna TV show, by the way, very good. Currently watching that. So join us for North Carolina next time. So you can enjoy.
I keep thinking you're about to say North Korea.
Enjoy all these.
I was like, we're on the edge. Join us next time for
classic North Korean movies. So from me, Ollie, from Ryan, and from Will, thanks again for joining us on this quite ridiculous episode of the United States of a Movie podcast.